Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F122 Driver Career Mode. 3 races remain. We just got big regulation changes with aero, powertrain, durability. However, none of that matters because it's the final season of this career mode, so we're not really going to dive into it. But you can see a 22-point advantage from Max Verstappen over Oscar Piastri. We had an up and down race in Spa. We had some rain, of course, pick up late in that Grand Prix, and that threw a bit of a curveball and set us behind, unfortunately. So we kind of played the team role to help Piastri close in a few points on Max Verstappen. We as a team coming into this weekend are backed by 18 points from Red Bull. So McLaren Chevrolet in our first season trying to win that Constructors Championship now as well. So here we are unloading into the Monza Italian Grand Prix race weekend, and this is going to be an interesting one. So it is going to rain all race long, and it's going to be heavy rain, so it's going to be wet tire basically from start to finish in this Grand Prix, which means I basically completely scrapped my dry setup for this race, and I have completely opted out on that and have went to a very much so wet setup, which means that we might pay the price in qualifying and not even make it to Q3 because of that, but we might have really good race pace to make up for not making it into Q3. We'll have to wait and see what happens now as we come through into qualifying here Saturday afternoon. Now, as you guys know, in our final season of this career mode, this is season 3 of this F122 driver career mode. The fact that it's raining in today's race as well means that we have not had a single Monza race in this career mode where it didn't rain, so we have never had a dry race here, or a fully dry race I should say. Here we are though in Q1, and you can see I was struggling already, so I'd already run a lap and I was only 19th place. That was a bit concerning. Fortunately, I would find about half a second extra here pretty quickly, so that would allow us to get into Q2 at least, but I was only P13, so it was going to be difficult to make it into Q3. Like I said, this is kind of expected to be out in Q2 because of the fact that I'm on a focused wet setup here, while everybody else is not really going to be doing that. So I've struggled in the past, and this is why I really focused on a wet setup, is because in the past in Italy when it's rained, I've struggled a tremendous amount, and I didn't want to struggle all race long, you know? So that's why I decided to sacrifice our qualifying pace here now, and you're going to see coming through the final chicane here, headed to the line out of the final turn, and it's only going to be, as we cross the line, P14. Now I would set one more lap. I have enough battery in the car, but we're only about half a tenth quicker by the time we come through the final corner. Very consistent lap with the lap I just ran, and yeah, half a tenth is all we're going to gain as we head to the line. Will that even be a position gain? Yes, it will. It will get us to P13. So we start the Italian Grand Prix here in Monza from P13, unfortunately, but like I said, we sacrifice a lot of qualifying pace, but we are going to have a lot of race pace, maybe more than we've ever had in the rain. We just got to be patient. So let's head to the grid and see the starting order.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today. With the rain coming down here at the 3.6-mile Monza circuit, the low drag setups preferred by most teams could cause them some problems in today's Grand Prix. So watch out for cars struggling for grip around the Curva Michele Alboreto. That's the Parabolica to you and me, the last and most demanding of this track's 11 corners. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Carlos Sainz, and Russell. Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, and Pierre Gasly. Albon, Stroll, Golden Boy, and Norris. Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Yuki Tsunoda, and Guan Yu Zhou. Latifi, and Robert Schwartzman. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Well, you see Robert Schwartzman there taking a grid penalty here now as we are ready to go racing, and look at the conditions. Absolutely atrocious here. Strategy, at least, very straightforward today. It's a wet tire. We'll be making one pit stop for another set of wets. There's no chance we're even going to get onto the intermediates today. It's really straightforward. So starting from P13 on the grid, I think we've got a huge opportunity to get a heck of a finish. Let's get ready to go.
Right then, the formation lap has started. And I must say, the weather conditions aren't the best today for visibility and for grip. As each driver performs this lap, they'll be wanting to settle in and concentrate, as this race, in these conditions, will require a lot of focus. As the cars come back towards the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can. And they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, failing that, within the points.
What's the goal here today?
Cautiously aggressive, that's it. I think you will have the fastest car here, so make it count.
You hear Mark saying he thinks we have the fastest car here for the race pace. I agree, honestly. I think we're going to be really, really quick in the race. It's about, though, being just cautious and patient, I think, now. And, of course, making every opportunity count to the best of our abilities. Max Verstappen has a chance to really increase the point lead coming up on the final 2 Grand Prix at the end of today's episode. Here we go. It's lights out. We're underway. That Red Bull front row lockout is going to try and cover off Piastri down towards turn 1. Perez, of course, not really in the mix for the Drivers' Championship like myself, but he is still going to attack Verstappen as we head down into turn 1. Everybody playing it calm, cool, and collected into this first and opening turn. 3 wide in the background. However, Hamilton, last episode's winner there, 3 wide in the middle it was with his teammate of George Russell. Lewis Hamilton got the win last time out in Spa. That was his first win since season 1 in the French Grand Prix. It's been basically 2 seasons since he's gone to the top step of the podium. And as well, he might have an announcement coming up in the next episode now as he's right in behind his teammate of Russell. Goes a little bit wide on the apex there, but stays planted in front of the Ferrari as you see myself cycling through. I was able to hold on to P13. So we started P13, held on to P13. Now, I did drift a little bit back down the front straightaway towards turn 1, but able to just lunge down into turn 1 and go on the attack and be able to gain a couple spots back and get back into that running position that we started in. Now, Verstappen, though, a good start for him over Perez. Piastri, who qualified 4th, was able to leapfrog the Ferrari, move up into 3rd place. So a really good start for Piastri, but it's going to be hard for him to move forward from here. Passing in the rain can be very difficult at times unless you've got a really good car, and I think we've got that here today just because of the fact that we focus so heavily on a wet setup for the first time. I've never actually put focus in on a wet setup in this game, but here we are today doing that, and hopefully we're going to make it count starting right here. Fellow Canadian of Lance Stroll on the AlphaTauri defends to the right side of the track. Now I'm going to go around the left side potentially, but no, he's going to send it up the inside of the Haas. I'm going to try and follow through and go around Schumacher. A little bit of contact right there, wheel to wheel. Fortunately, no damage on the wing from that. So moving up into P12 we go. Stroll also got Ocon, so we got a 2-for-1 special in just 1 corner now, as you can see myself closing in on the back of Esteban Ocon here in the next few moments as we head down this front straightaway, getting that slipstream again on Esteban in the Alpine. We're going to go to the left side. He defends hard on the right. Is he going to send it up the inside now of Stroll? He had a look, and now I'm going to dive it around, and here we go on the exit of turn 2. We'll take the position, so you can really dive deep down into the corner and be able to, of course, get that preferred lane into turn 2, especially with the setup right now with the way it was. As you see me asking about the weather, but basically, long story short is, it's not going to get better at all through this Grand Prix. Lance Stroll now for points. Here we go as we head down towards the final turn. An opportunity to make a move on him, and we're going to go up this right side. Not much of a contest right there. Easy through into P10. Verstappen now sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as we have a big moment right there as we get a little bit aggressive on the throttle input, but fortunately we hang on. Now Stroll would get a chance right here to lunge back up my left side down into turn 1, but I send it back in and kind of close the door saying no sir, and I am going to continue on and now try to run down Stroll's teammate of Pierre Gasly. Yellow flags up ahead actually, and it's going to be for a Ferrari. It's Carlos Sainz, the Spaniard, is going to be out of the Grand Prix. Mechanical failure there, and because of that, mixed with the terrible conditions, this safety car is going to get deployed. Now there could be potential strategy changes here, and I thought about coming in to pit for the wets. However, I did not, because if we pit now, we could stay out to the end, but the problem is we would lose so much time before the other drivers pit that I don't think the gain would be actually worth it. So I stay out on the track here, hold on to P9, but Sainz obviously retiring is a nice advantage for myself. One less car that I have to overtake now. So we would be back underway, beginning at lap number 9 now. Max Verstappen, Perez, Oscar Piastri, your top 3, as you might have a chance right here to take a lunge up the inside or the outside of Pierre Gasly into turn 1. I'm going to go to the right. He's going to leave it open, and now he goes on the attack, maybe on Alonso, but I'm going to send it up the inside there. He checks up. We got Russell. There's 3 wide in front of us, actually. Leclerc contact with Hamilton. Alonso going around the outside. I think it's going to get them both. Yes, he is. Fernando Alonso, what a move. Into 4th place, the Spaniard goes. Now we got the British driver of George Russell just in front of us. You saw the oversteer I was dealing with right there, so I would have to kind of settle down for the rest of the lap. And yellow flags. Again, behind us is Schwartzman. Robert Schwartzman is into the barrier and around, and it was all on his own. Let's take a look at the replay right here. He just simply throttles up, and his embarrassing F1 career continues, you know, an episode after, of course, that he got those penalty points now. Now, if we had another season left in this career mode, I would have probably had a storyline where he got fired, but obviously not going to be the case with only 2 episodes left in the whole series. Now, a move on George Russell potentially here, down into turn 1, similar to the move we made on Esteban Ocon, where I'm just able to break a little bit deeper down into turn 1, and this wet setup really is coming in to play a big role here in what is so far, I think, been the best performance I've put up in the wet. We've been continuing to move forward into P7, going purple sector 2 and 3, but it wasn't enough for the fastest lap. But now everybody coming into the pit lane at the conclusion of lap 13, aside from Piastri and Perez, who are going to pit a lap later here. Now Max Verstappen in for a new set of wet tires, and unfortunately, he's just been in command of this Grand Prix, which is not good for myself and Piastri. And I mean, we're basically, like I said, we're realistically out of the championship battle. We could be mathematically out and officially at the end of this episode if Verstappen wins this race now. As you can see, Piastri, Perez, they all come in. I come in 1 lap later, so I stayed out 2 extra laps compared to Max Verstappen here, as we're going to put on a fresh set of wets. So I did consider staying out to the end of the Grand Prix. I was like, you know what, I could probably take these wets to the end, but they were already at like about 30% wear, I think it was. So I decided it was probably best to come in and get a fresh set. I didn't really have a lot of confidence when they were already that worn. So Verstappen's already down into turn 1. Perez passes us, Piastri passes us, but how about this? We get past Leclerc, Hamilton as well, so we're up in a 4th place after that pit stop cycle. Huge gains we just made, and this race keeps on getting better and better. Hands down, the best drive I've put up in the wet weather in this whole game. However, there's still 11 laps to go. We are the quickest car on the track. We haven't set the quickest lap yet, but I think that was about to change, and it would change actually. Starting lap 18, I did set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Late race update there. You see the top 3, but I'm only 1.4 seconds behind Piastri and closing quickly. Hamilton, Leclerc, Alonso, Russell there, 5th through 8th, and then to round out the top 10, you got Pierre Gasly as well as Mick Schumacher, and he might not be in the top 10 for long, because here goes Esteban Ocon up the inside, and the Alpine down into turn 1 in the background. You see Lance Stroll just kind of lurking back there, as you can see around the outside. I think Ocon's going to get that power down, and yes, he will. Schumacher, unfortunately, falls outside of the top 10. Now Stroll not far behind him, with Norris, Albon, Magnussen through 15th, and Zhou Guanyu, Yuki Tsunoda, Nicholas Latifi, and Robert Schwartzman to round off the rest of the running order. Right now, Schwartzman's on his own island, just doing his own thing, and of course, Sainz out of the Grand Prix. Look at the gap now, with just a couple of laps. Within a couple of laps, we closed well over a second and a half, I think it was, on Oscar Piastri now, and we were getting ready to attack him, and I was actually, of course, asking for updates. What's the situation? Can I attack him in this moment? Am I free to attack?
Yep, make it quick, please.
We get the go-ahead to go for the attack. I wanted to make sure we were okay because Piastri's fighting for a championship with Verstappen, but Verstappen's long up the road, which is why I think we get the clearance to do so. Here we go. Full beans on the overtake button now, and Piastri goes defensive. I'm going to do the same move I've done all day long on other drivers, just lunge it around the outside into turn 1. Now through turn 2, we're side by side. Now I give Piastri way more room to work with, as he is my teammate fighting for a championship right now, and he actually takes big advantage of that. He stays alongside here now as we go through the long sweeping right-hander, but we are just going to have enough power right here down this little short chute towards the chicane to be able to get ourselves clear of Piastri into the chicane. So up at P3, onto the podium we go, and can we run down Perez? We're not going to have enough time. We have the fastest car on track. We just don't have enough time to get to Max Verstappen, setting really quick lap times at this point now. But Perez is a realistic possibility. 2 seconds in 4 laps, you know, I think that's a pretty small order with the pace that we had in this car. And you can see cross on the line, fastest lap of the Grand Prix again at 128.525, and look at this gap. It continues to open up to Piastri by nearly 3 seconds, and less than a second and a half now between myself and Sergio Perez across the line again at 128.385, even quicker by a couple tenths of a second. And now we're within 1 second of Perez. Mark comes over the radio, says that Perez has some kind of mechanical problem, so this just opened the door wide open for me to be able to get him potentially on this lap instead of having to set him up for the final lap. So here we go, all over the back of him now on the run towards the final hairpin here. As we approach 2 laps to go, Perez still goes defensive. I'm going to lunge one around the outside. He has a bit of a moment there as he nearly goes wide into the side of my car, but he doesn't have anything for us, and we're going to be able to easily drive away from him. The real question is, can Piastri run him down in time and get a few extra points? Because even though we're beating Perez, with Verstappen winning the Grand Prix, we're still losing points to Red Bull in the Constructors. Final lap well underway here. Max Verstappen in control, and unfortunately, even though we are having a great day, going from 13th to 2nd place, what a drive in the wet. The best drive I've ever put together in the wet. Max Verstappen, however, winning this race will mathematically eliminate us from chances of winning this World Drivers' Championship. So we will not win a World Drivers' Championship in F122. Max Verstappen wins the Grand Prix, extends his gap over Piastri, and unfortunately at the same time, Red Bull extends their gap by only a couple of points over us in the Constructors, with 2 Grand Prix remaining here. Now, Max Verstappen with the win. We get Driver of the Day. Let's head to the podium celebrations.
Brilliant stuff from Red Bull today. What a superb victory. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
I don't know if I should be disappointed or not right now. You know, we just went on a drive of a lifetime from 13th to 2nd in pouring rain conditions. My best drive ever in the rain, and obviously a wet setup has now proven to work quite well. But at the same time, although we went on a heck of a drive, we are now eliminated mathematically from fighting for the World Drivers' Championship, and it all comes down to, you know, there's some key moments, and we have Jeddah. We have, of course, the 2 in general. We've had 2 mechanical failures, which has been huge, as Piastri and Verstappen have had none. But as well, the Australia mishaps that were created by myself, and then Monaco in qualifying, coming off the strep throat and things like that. So, I mean, there's 4 Grand Prix this season where we have faltered, and it has, well, now paid the price for it. We have, as we are officially out mathematically. Piastri is still very much in this battle, 2 races left. It might be over after the next one though. 35 points the advantage in Max Verstappen's name. We are in a fight against Perez and Leclerc for 3rd in the World Driver standings. We could still beat Piastri in points. He's actually not that far ahead. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But 20 points the advantage for Red Bull going into the final 2 Grand Prix. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this one. It's unfortunate that our season's coming to an end like this, but I'm excited for the final 2 Grand Prix. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.